That is a recipe that's 2,000 years old, tastes so damn good. Best cheese recipe I've ever made. And while I mash up all these cloves of garlic, let's take a minute and discuss the history of this famous dish. The ancient Romans were a passionate people, and they were definitely passionate about food. It was important to share good food during get-togethers, and much like today, a cheeseball is always a party hit. Only a small number of Roman recipes have made it through to today, and luckily, this one, the Moretum, is one of them. When I look up the Latin word for Moretum, I find that it means rustic salad. And from here on out, when I'm told that I need to eat more salad, I will comply. This salad is made by crushing garlic, herbs, and cheese into a paste or making a cheese ball and eating it with any style of Roman bread. One of the more famous of surviving recipes from Moretum comes from Columella, who wrote it in De Re Rustica, or On Rural Matters. In these writings, Columella discusses everything from feeding, breeding, taking care of all sorts of domesticated animals, and many aspects of agricultural life, but also manages to slip in the recipe for this cheesy snack. So I wanted to give this recipe a try myself. So, garlic's already mashed up, that's off to the side. Now I'm just crushing up some peppercorns and adding in all of these various herbs. Let me just pause it real quick. One of the herbs that it does say to use is rue, and that can be somewhat toxic, so I am going to replace that with dandelion leaves. And because my mortars are small and I have so many herbs I have to mash up, I'm just doing these in rounds here. And I do want to come clean with something. I did know that I was going to like this recipe before making it. I mean, what's there not to like? It's garlic, herbs, and cheese. It's a perfect combination. The only thing I was a little bit concerned about was the mint, but without spoiling the review, the cooling property of the mint worked really well against the pungency of the garlic. And for this recipe, I am using a sheep's cheese. I'm using an aged pecorino Romano, which most likely would have been used by this guy. You might have heard of him, Virgil. Yes, that Virgil, the poet who wrote the Aeneid. The voice of reason, who left limbo to take Dante into the entrance of hell, just to guide him through all 9 circles, from lust all the way down to treachery. Virgil's recipe for Moretum comes from the Appendix Virgiliana, where he writes the poem titled Moretum. In this poem, the plowman, Simulus, who's just dealing with normal aggravations of everyday life, decides he's going to make himself a meal. So, what does he make other than Moretum? And lucky for us, he details step by step how to make this. But here's another little fact about this poem. 3 of America's founding fathers may have been inspired by this poem when they were tasked to create a motto to be put on the Great Seal. E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. Where when describing the color of the contents of the mortar, all coalescing into one, Virgil writes, E pluribus unus. And since this is an amalgamation of both Columella and Virgil's recipes, I'm going to just add a little white wine vinegar and olive oil into this, and the herbs that I used, I'll tell you, were arugula, thyme, dandelion leaf, chives, mint, fresh coriander, and parsley. And now I'm just adding in just a dollop of ricotta. That way it just gives it a little bit more creaminess. And I'll roll it into a ball and serve with some flatbread. Roman Moretum. It's kind of like the first cheese ball. This is super simple to make. The most fragrant thing I've probably ever made. The whole house just smells like fresh herbs. It's amazing. So, as a cheese connoisseur, addict, I just can't wait to give this a go. Wow. That's got real bite from the garlic. I'm like getting a little bit of the mint. Every one of these herbs is coming through in different times. You've got to try this. Fantastic. Ditch the pimento cheese ball or the port wine cheese ball. You got to try this out. It's easy. I don't know what it is. I know what it is. It's the garlic that hits you right at the forefront, followed by this cool mint and pepperiness. It's really, really good. After last week's episode, this is a blessing.